Welcome back to The Pitch, an Ashland University Women's Soccer Coaches Show. I'm Cade Krakus, alongside head coach Caleb Polino. Coach, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you on the show again. And, first and foremost, let's talk about this week you guys had. Finding a draw on the road, and then coming back home and getting a really big win over Lake Erie.
Yeah, I think for us, we learned, obviously, how to manage the last couple minutes of a game and the Northwood game. We were a little disappointed that we dropped points on the road and we felt like we had the game in hand. But I think we told the group when they came back is we'd rather learn from those experiences in that environment early on before the games, it's win or go home. So I think after that result, I think we learned against a pretty tough Lake Erie side, like how to manage the last couple minutes and make things difficult. So learning process for us, and we managed it well in the second game, and we were able to get 3 points.
I think the funny thing is about your team this season is you've had pretty much every result you could look at. You know what I mean? A 1-0 win at home to start the year, then you go and fall on the road, but then you get some wins at home. 7-0 wins,
yeah.
Some nitty-gritty results. I mean, you're getting everything out there for these kids.
Yeah, I think for us, we talked about this as a staff. Like, we get everybody's best game.
Yeah.
And I think regardless, when you go watch these other teams play each other, I don't think the energy and the emotion is the same when they get to play Ashland. And, it's like the World Cup every time we play. So we have to be able to match that, and I think our group has found ways to get results. Last game, probably the least amount of shots that we've had all year in a game, but we're able to still find one and keep a clean sheet. And I think that was an important message for our group before the game is, we've given up a goal in 3 straight games, and we got to get back to keeping clean sheets, and we found a way to keep a clean sheet and also found a way to score a goal.
Yeah, and I was about to say, the way in which you guys are finding ways to score goals is incredible. I mean, you're getting it off of set pieces, and then other than that, I feel like they're just banger goals.
Yeah, kids are stepping up in big moments, and a lot of these players, our scoring goals haven't been the traditional goal scorers for us. So that's been great to see is players stepping up in their roles, and a lot of players who were subs last year stepping on as starters now and contributing and finding ways to get in the back of the net. And I think that's what makes us difficult is, we're a hard matchup. We're going to find ways, and it might not be the person that's scoring goals all the time. It might be somebody coming off the bench or, in the lineup that hasn't gotten too many, but we find a way. And
the nice thing, too, is we talked about it last week, getting the return of a lot of players who were down with injuries. How nice has that been for the team?
Yeah, it's weird because they're all on minutes restrictions. So, we're like, all right, what time slot is it? We got to get them off. But it's good just to see them together. And I think, on Saturday, you probably saw the starting lineup that we kind of anticipated to start the year. Finally get some minutes together, even though it was just a few. But I think we're getting the right pieces back in a difficult stretch of games, and I think that's something that is really exciting for our group moving forward is, we're getting the best players back to be able to contribute, and now it's just getting them minutes and getting them back comfortable in the competition.
And we're into the back half of the season now at this point in time. What's the team's mentality like? Is it getting tired in there, or what's it looking like?
Yeah, we knew after Northwood game, we talked about it afterwards, it's a 6-game season. At some point, everybody at that point, we're all even in points, us in Cedarville, and we're like, okay, best of 6. And we started out 1-0, against Lake Erie, and now we have 2 more games this week, and you keep winning the games and you put pressure on everybody else to get results. So I think for us, that's been great to see is we handled it well. Lake Erie is probably the best Lake Erie team I've seen and most organized, and they made things difficult, and I can see why they've turned the program around with Carl and his group and doing a really good job. But it's a good result for us against a team that's well above 500 at home and on senior night, which is always fun.
Yeah, of course. And who do you guys have this coming week?
Yeah, so we play Thursday afternoon against Walsh, which is another team that's fighting to get into the playoffs for the GMAC, and then we're on the road against Ursuline, and in that environment in the afternoon on grass, it's always a difficult one. So 2 tough tests for us, and the goal is to go 2-0 this week and put pressure on everybody else.
Of course. And we'll, what's the mentality for the team moving forward, especially with players back now and a lot of youngsters getting involved heavily? What's the group feeling like right now?
Yeah, I think we're in a good place. I think we're playing the right way. I think we're making things difficult. We're still learning with, a lot of new players. We essentially, at one point only had 2 returning starters on the field at a time. So I think for us, it's another week of preparation. It's fine-tuning things. We're getting more and more comfortable on the ball, which is great. And now we're seeing different styles to defend us, and we got to adapt and create more dangerous chances, which, against Lake Erie, we had just a few, but we had some good ones. So we're going to figure out this week, ways that teams are preparing against us and try to adjust accordingly as we go forward.
Well, we've talked about Ashland University women's soccer, but this final little segment here I want to talk about is some news I saw on Sunday that USA Soccer had called for Division I to be split up into promotion and relegation. What's your thoughts on college pro rel?
Man, it would be interesting. Like, we always talk about that, like if we were in another conference in, the Horizon League, the MAC, how would we do? And, I think that would be an incredible thing just to be able to show the different levels of college soccer. And even at the Division III level where I spent a lot of my career, there's some outstanding teams in that would love the opportunity to play, the Division I and Division IIs of the world. And it's always been a conversation piece, right?
Yeah.
Like, what if, we play Division I teams in the spring all the time and usually, do really well in those games. But, the opportunity would be kind of crazy just logistically and figuring things out. But, just the thought of it is a cool, intriguing experience.
Cool. Yeah, and I did hear something else that also is getting a lot more rumblings is the expansion of the soccer season from fall to spring including.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that as well?
It's been a really big push on the men's Division I side. I know the women's Division I group is getting some traction as well. It's hard for our players, I think, in this sport with as close to the games are, even at the Division III level where they're, essentially playing NCAA tournament games back to back. It's definitely an idea to help potentially manage the injury prevention piece with it a little bit, but logistically with as many sports as we have here at Ashland and those that are committed to the spring, I think it'd be pulling teeth to get enough people to represent each program equally and making sure that they have what they need. But we'll see what the Division I's decide to do. I think that's been a big push, and they're already doing roster limitations, and that's probably the next piece for them. So we'll probably see what they do and then kind of move forward from there.
Obviously nothing concrete as of now, and nothing probably in the foreseeable future at least. Definitely not. Well, thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of The Pitch. We'll catch you guys next week. If you have anything else you need on Ashland University women's soccer, head over to goashlandeagles.com or to Flow College to catch all the home broadcasts. I'm Cade Krakus saying so long right here on the Eagle Network.